Now, it looks like the Biden administration will soon hit a milestone in the coronavirus pandemic, and this one is good news. President Biden pledged 100 million vaccinations done by his first 100 days in office, and it is a target that he will likely hit more than a month early. So let's talk more about where we stand in this pandemic with emergency medicine physician Dr. Seth Trueger. So, doctor, we are planning on hitting this milestone perhaps as early as today. We have another vaccine that's available, that's Novavax. Do you think we might be able to see our friends and family perhaps sooner than expected? President Biden said July 4th holiday. Perhaps it could come,
We'd be
I'm
up by
hoping, sooner than that.
57:30, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. This is almost all great news. Look, more vaccines and more arms is fantastic. We are, now going to be, I think, 40 days ahead of the 100 vaccines on 100 days promise. This is fantastic. The bad news is we're seeing things like small surges from places opening up too soon. We're seeing some states opening up very aggressively, especially places like Texas and Florida, and I think Indiana and Ohio, that are just really dropping all mitigation efforts. But the problem is what we're seeing is, one, kids still going up because a lot of people still are not vaccinated. 100 million is a lot of people, but it's still, not even a third of Americans. Number two is the big potential problem right now, the big threat, and not to be a naysayer, is the variants. And the best way to make sure these variants or future variants don't make any big problems is by getting control of things now, getting more people, getting as many people as possible vaccinated, getting those vaccines in arms, and also maintaining mitigation efforts. The way I think about it is, we started off with a small fire in the kitchen that surged out of control. The whole house was on fire for a while. We've now got it contained back to the kitchen. Now's not the time to go about our regular business. This is the time to really stamp it out and get things under control so we don't see some of these more virulent strains becoming bigger problems. And also, the longer this smolders, even if it's, something manageable, the more likely a dangerous strain emerges.
So then this news that, at least here in New York, that we could be going back to concerts as soon as April 1st, is that a too soon?
I mean, that strikes me as too soon right now. I think at this point, there's still too much risk. The vaccination rates are going up, and it's fantastic. But the case rates, they've kind of plateaued a bit and are even ticking up in a lot of places. And we're seeing more of the variants coming out. We're seeing the variants like B117 really taking over some communities. And we know that one is able to be passed more to people more quickly. It also probably is associated with more ICU stays. We're seeing some homegrown variants. I think there's one out of California, and if I'm right, one from Florida as well. But again, the more cases we see before it gets under control, the more variants are going to be. And, we won't be talking in a few months about, the old easy variants as we're dealing with big worse variants. So from my point of view, from my understanding, opening things up, doing concerts, going to restaurants is really just not worth it. Look, it's been now over a year since I've been to a restaurant. I love going to restaurants in normal times. But it just, to me, it's not at all seem like the risk to me, to my family, to the community.
All right. I have about 30 seconds left with you here, doctor. I do want to ask you about that AstraZeneca vaccine, the EU drug regulator saying that it is safe to use. Do you have concerns about the vaccine? Do you think that this might still increase vaccine hesitancy?
It's really hard to know. I will tell you, I've not completely reported through all the data. My rough understanding is that the clot risk overall is about close to the background clot risk, but there's a concerning cluster of high-risk clots around the brain, which raises some questions. At this point, we know how bad COVID is. We know how bad COVID is for the individuals who get really sick from it, for how bad it is for the community at large, how much it spreads. The risk, even from what I can see right now, even the risk of the cerebral venous thrombosis is low and is real. And if we would live in a world where we had unlimited other vaccines, it's probably easier to be safe. But at this point, we're probably going to see much more sickness and death from holding off on AstraZeneca, in my, admittedly non-completely expert opinion.
All right, Dr. Seth Trueger, emergency medicine physician. Thanks so much for joining us.